You just couldn't get enough of a guy named Siani. Cardinals have a player named Siani. Last time I heard that name, he was catching passes for the Oakland Raiders in the 70s. I didn't even know some of these guys yesterday.
No, I don't know several of them. I don't even know where they came from.
Yeah.
I've been looking at box scores all summer, including minor league. I don't know these guys.
Oh, man.
It's just, I know, look at, obviously, we keep hearing all these excuses about injuries and blah, blah, blah. But I'm telling you what, some of these players that are playing now have no chance.
No.
No chance.
They're not prospects.
They're not even suspects. What?
Which is interesting to me, you bring up these no names, and I'm sure it has to do with the 40-man roster and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, but you think a couple guys on the 40-man roster would
be good.
Would be like, wait a minute.
Like, where's
nobody open? Here's my point. There's nobody that you go, ooh.
No offense to a couple of those names we mentioned, but wouldn't you rather have, again, I can't get the name right, Sagasi and then Victor Scott? Wouldn't you have rather seen those two guys just up? Hey, come up for a cup of coffee. Come hang out.
Well, I don't know. I'm confused about what they're trying to do right now. And that's one of the reasons, well, Frank mentioned that I called him while he was on the golf course, and I apologize for that. I would never interrupt if I knew somebody was on a golf course. But I watch games, and I can't figure out whether it's instructional ball, spring training, or is it a major league game that this organization is trying to win? I can't. I have a really hard time distinguishing between what they're trying to do.
So what got your ire on Friday night was pitching to Tatis with a base open?
No. Let's remember this game Friday night. Now, here's I would think this question should be posed to the manager. Are you trying to win games, or are you trying to develop players at this point in the season? Because I keep hearing about, well, this is a good opportunity for him to have learning experience, and we're trying to develop and blah, blah. No. What you try to do at the big league level is teach players what it takes to win a major league baseball game.
Yeah. But in terms of developing players, the only ones you're really concerned about, I think, for the most part, would be prospects like Wynn and Walker.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know if the rest,
perhaps,
like you say.
Well, perhaps Baker, Herrera. I think all.
Well, maybe
Herrera and Wynn definitely developed. And here's my point about the game Friday night. Wynn hits a home run in the 6th inning, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The 7th inning comes up, and it is Baker singles to left. Fermin walks. He gets pinch run for Baker. Okay. Now, Wynn's at the plate with no outs.
I know what you're going to say.
What am I going to say?
You say move him over.
Well, here's the thing. It's one or the other.
Yes.
And here's my point. As a manager, I go up to Wynn and say, listen, either you're going to get this guy, bunt him over, or you're going to drive him in. I don't even want you to try to move the guy from second to third. I want you to drive him in. So he goes up there, ball one. Doesn't even attempt to make a sacrifice bunt.
No.
So it looks like he's hitting, right?
It does.
Everybody in the ballpark thinks he's hitting. I'm the viewer. I think he's hitting. The next pitch, he takes for a strike. Didn't even attempt to swing. Now it's 1-1. Now they put the bunt sign on. The kid's got to be totally confused. Am I bunting or am I supposed to be swinging in this? And I don't think anybody told him what to do in that situation. Nobody did, because you sent two signals.
Yeah.
Swing, well, he doesn't really know. Either you go up and say, drive this guy in because Newbar's on deck, and they got a nasty lefty, Cosgrove or whatever his name, who strikes out lefties at, I think, the second highest rate in the big leagues. And Newbar's on deck. I want you to drive this guy in. So what you do? He ends up popping up to the catcher. They bring in the lefty. Newbar strikes out, and who made the last out? I don't know.
Now, so here's
it was
when we talk about those choices, though. I think it's interesting you brought it up as choices.
It is a choice.
It is. And
the choice is and here's the manager. What's my best situation to teach these guys what winning baseball looks like?
So teaching versus winning games, but here's a situation where you can do both at the same time, right?
But
And
yes,
so,
yes.
So, my guy's hitting 170. What are his chances of getting a hit? Less than that. Less than that. Less than 20%. What are my chances of him getting a bunt down? Because I thought at the time, why doesn't he have him bunt? And then I could just see Ollie looking at me and go, did you see him the last time he tried to bunt? Which is a reason, but not an excuse. You can't excuse a guy not being able to bunt. Or give you
here's the thing, though. You got to remember, if he can't bunt, don't ask him to do it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. So
you're asking a player not to do something he's not capable. But Wynn should, of all the guys on the team, he should be the best bunter on the team.
He should be, because he can make that a weapon for himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So either Ollie didn't know he couldn't bunt, or he knew, and then he asked him to do something he's not capable of doing. But here's my point: if you really are developing your young players, tell them. Get a ball and drive it up the middle and drive in the run. Give him the confidence before he steps in the box. I'm telling you, Wynn and some of these younger guys, they have no idea what they can do at the big league level until they're told, this is what we expect you to do.
Mm-hmm. And they may be the 26th ranked team in Major League Baseball, and yesterday they assured themselves of at least being last. You know, the Pirates will finish ahead of them, but they're at least assured themselves of a tie with the Pirates, or they can't get any better than a tie. But there's just not many guys you're trying to develop. Now, I don't want to be disrespectful about Baker. He hit 33 home runs this year. I'd let him go to spring training.
There's no developing him. He is what he is.
He is what he is. So you get a look at him, and do you trade him? Do you keep him? Is he a part of your club? I don't know.
He's 26 years old. He'll be 27. So he's a big guy.
But you may have a spot as the DH. If
Absolutely.
you play Donovan in left and Gorman at second, you may be
He's a
looking for him.
threat. I'm telling you, there's not a pitcher that wants to face him, because if they make a mistake, he's got a chance of going 450 feet.
So there's no reason for him not to play, especially with all the injuries, every day to the end of the season.
Absolutely. And I think he should have been in there sooner.
Yeah.
That's not
I agree.
for me to decide.
I wonder, though, like in terms of the other guys, like Drew Rom pitched yesterday. Do you know his fastball peaked at 88 miles an hour? 88.
And his breaking ball, it's got nothing.
Here's our first moment of picking on Frank. You remember when he was good, though? You were saying you had him in the rotation.
We had a good start.
You had him into the rotation. You had him in the rotation.
You are so crazy. You are so. The only thing I said is he should be one of 12 competing for the fifth spot.
True. That's
okay.
And I don't even know if he should be one of 12.
Bob, but I do appreciate your exaggeration.
I do not. Okay,
but that was just, people talk about the manager's decision. I generally don't go there, but on this particular game, I thought the seventh inning might have been the worst inning, and came up with the worst excuse I've ever heard.
What are we doing, and why are we doing it?
But here's my point.
Yeah.
So you got what's his name of the game?
Pitching, Liberatore on Friday night?
In the eighth inning. Bottom of the eighth inning. Liberatore's in the game, right?
Yes.
There's 2 outs. Yes?
Yeah.
Right? Who's at the plate? Machado.
In front of me. Okay. Oh, right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Man in second. And they pitched to him. And here's my point. If this situation came up next year and the game meant something to the Cardinals, do you think Liberatore would have been pitching Machado?
No way.
That's my point.
Why are we doing it?
Teach him what winning baseball looks like. You walk the guy, you get the next lefty out, Choi, whatever his name is, who is a horrible hitter right now, and has been, and that's why he's played for 5 teams. It's a left-handed hitter on deck.
All right, strictly a devil's advocate response to this. Liberatore has good stuff, and one day he's going to have to get Manny Machado out. Why not let him just go? In a season, you're losing 94 games.
Who says he's going to have to get Machado out?
Well,
who says that?
If he's in the rotation one day and he may be starting a game against the Pirates.
Well, that's a different situation, Frank. But we're talking about the 8th inning in a tie game.
Which goes to his original point.
The situation does not dictate at all. Because the thing is, here's the thing. If he gets him out, everybody says, well, their last place team, it was like a trial run. And if he doesn't get him out, well, now you don't trust him that he can get him out in a situation that you're going to call him to do it.
Yeah.
It's a lose-lose. Teach him what it looks like next year to walk a guy that you don't want to – all the guys on the roster in that situation, you telling me that you're going to give Machado a chance after hitting a home run and a single? He was 3 for 3 at that point in the game.
Crushing everything.
It doesn't make sense.
All right, another point. The Milwaukee Brewers are 20 games better than the Cardinals right now, and they have at least 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 starting pitchers you'd rather have than before you got to your first Cardinal pitcher. Who knows, maybe 6, I don't know. I don't know what Cardinal starting pitcher you like, period. And I don't know how, especially with maybe like 3 starting pitchers out there free agency-wise that you really like, I don't know how they get as good as the Brewers in one off season.
You know, that's what I was actually watching the game yesterday. I know, Donovan's out. I know Gorman's out. I know Arenado's out. I know Goldschmidt's probably not going to play a whole lot anymore. I know our catcher's out. Those are all big guys.
Yeah.
But having said that, all those guys were part of this process of getting to where we were they not? They couldn't overcome the shortcomings of the pitching.
Yeah.
So the lineup, I'm not as concerned, even though it's been struggling lately. I get it. But gosh darn it, when it comes to the pitching, it's going to take a huge overhaul and a lot of cash if you want to compete for this division next year. And they can't be wrong. They can't go out and get a guy that's going to be breaking down in May.
And Bob and I have been discussing this quite a bit in terms of trade value because one of the pitchers is probably going to have to come via trade. You're not going to sign them all, I don't think.
No chance.
So my idea is that since Kisner's done well and Contreras has been the best offensive catcher in baseball for the last 3 months, that Herrera's a really good-looking prospect.
Sure he is.
Really good player, but he has value.
Yes,
and I think Tommy Edman has value,
yes.
and you package those two, and maybe you do get somebody decent in return. I mean, Major League scouts have to look at Herrera and think, man, this guy's really good.
He can throw. He can catch and throw.
Yeah, so.
And I'm not saying he's going to be better than Molina. He's got the skills of Molina. And let's not forget, Molina, the first 5 years of his career, wasn't much of an offensive player.
No.
So.
And this guy had a really good AAA offensive season.
He was dynamic.
That's my point. So it's.
But don't
it's
you
there.
have to, because with Contreras in the middle of an $87 million contract and being the best offensive catcher in baseball the last 3 months, you're not moving him.
No.
And Kisner with 10 home runs has proven he's a fine backup.
Absolutely.
So.
Even though he whiffed on a pop-up the other day, it cost him.
Yeah. Speaking of whiffing on a ball, Jordan Walker had some issues. Did you see the?
Oh, Frank, of course I saw it. And I keep reading these stories. He's getting better.
But he's probably gotten a little. Well, he had bad moments. He had some bad moments.
Frank, when you get better, you don't have moments like that. I'm sorry, you just don't. I know unequivocally what bad defense looks like because I played it at the big league level. And if anybody has any credit when it comes to being a guy out of position, it's me. Now, I don't know if I could ever play at third base if I had started in the minor leagues and played, 500 games or 700 games in the minor leagues. I have no idea. It doesn't matter. But I know at the big league level, when I was at third base, I was costing the Cardinals runs, and runs means losses. When you don't make the ordinary play at the big league level, you lose Major League Baseball games.
Yep.
And then what happens in the outfield, it's twice as worse.
But a little bit different story in that it's easier if you're a career infielder, I think, to be an average outfielder as opposed to being a career outfielder and becoming an average infielder. Would you agree? I mean, Lewis used to say, if you could play the infield, you could eventually learn to play the outfield.
Normally, you would think an infielder is athletic and moves in a way that he should
hand-eye coordination and all that.
Catching the whatever, yes. But I personally think it's his feet. His feet is an issue in the outfield.
Really?
You play defense with your feet, not only in the infield. Everywhere.
Yeah.
And his feet are never seem to be in a position. Like that ball that skipped by him down the right field line. Did you see that play?
Yeah.
His feet were 5 feet out of position when the ball hit the ground.
Yes.
And he didn't get over to cut off the angle. His angles of cutting off the ball are horrendous. He hasn't understand yet how it means to cut off a ball based on the speed and trajectory.
And spin of the ball. And
That's all part of the equation. Now, will that come? Boy, I hope so, because if it doesn't, he's going to cost the Cardinal games defensively next year if he doesn't go to the next level. And I personally, I guess I haven't seen him enough, but if he's improved and that still happens, well, I would argue he hasn't improved that much.
So I got another defensive question for you because it cost the Cardinals a couple of plays in a row. Kisner catching on one knee.
I hate it.
And why? I know I've heard some arguments. This is the way to go, and this is. But instead of the way Mike Matheny showed me the drills and how you catch and slide over and block the ball, on one knee you can't slide over. All you can do is backhand. You got no shot.
Well, unfortunately, Bob, I think some computer spit out a stat that says if you get down on one knee, the umpire can see more strikes and balls,
down
blah,
lower.
blah, blah, whatever. Now, I don't buy it. I think umpires generally, wouldn't matter if the guy was squatting or if it was one knee. They're going to call balls and strikes, and I don't think it has any effect whatsoever. I really don't. It's an opinion. I'm going to stick to it until someone can convince me it's different. But an umpire misses just as many pitches when the guy's on one knee as he does on two. Or he calls balls strikes and strikes balls just as much.
Well, would Dave Ricketts allow it?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I really don't think so.
It all depends on what the philosophy is of the organization. I'll say that. And philosophies are changing, I mean, I think that the emphasis of putting the ball in play like the Orioles have done for the last couple of years, not worrying about hitting the ball over the fence because the way the game is sped up, speed, again, is going to be important. I mean, so I think the philosophy keeps changing, and I think at some point we're going to see every time a guy moves up because you're out of position catching the ball, statistically, to me, it doesn't make sense.
I agree.
Every time you give up 90 feet when you don't have to because it's a defensive mistake, and I think getting down on one knee is a defensive mistake, personally, I think it costs you games.
I agree.
All right, so you discussed the defensive potential or lack of Jordan Walker. What about Mason Wynn? Do you think he's a potential Gold Glover?
Yes.
And he's seen many people like him. Do you remind you of anybody? He has Dunstan's arm.
He's got Dunstan's arm. He's got Ozzy's range. I don't know if he's got Ozzy's hands yet. Maybe he never will have Ozzy's hands, but that doesn't matter. The fact is he's got two things that you can't teach. Arm strength and range. You can't teach that. You can teach the other stuff, how to catch the ground properly, and you can't teach speed. You can't teach arm strength.
Nope.
Our friend Ed Curtis has a question for you, Andy. Can Mo make a trade? That's the question. Someone he gets is someone the other team has seen for a while and ready to get rid of. Do you trust Mo in making a good deal here?
Well, based on the last few trades he's made, I trust him to take somebody. I mean, he's let some good guys go.
Yeah.
Actually, his the Arenado trade and the Goldschmidt trade are obviously feathers in his cap, but you got to pluck the feathers back out when you lost the guys that he's lost. Mm-hmm. So I think it's been a teeter-totter trade situation for the Cardinals, and I think that's basically true for all organizations. I'm not picking on Mozeliak. You can't always be right, but I know one thing: this team will not change unless they get starting pitching of some kind. And if it takes trading Goldschmidt, trade him.
Well, here's the thing. This is directed more to fans and maybe other media members. You're going to move some players. And just because they do well doesn't mean you made a mistake.
No.
Depends on and so,
you can't always be right.
I keep saying, though, everybody's tired with Bro Neal. But he's going to – what if he goes somewhere and plays 150 games
I
and
would
hits
say
40 home
I would
runs?
say God bless him, but I'm not –
Right.
you know what? I agree with you. I don't want to find out here.
No.
I'm tired of watching this guy not play.
We're on the same page. But I don't want the backlash.
Yeah, good point, Bob.
Hey, join – it's next June. He's already got 17 home runs or something. And, you should have kept O'Neill. Well, this is your time.
It's just like Carlson. I know he's 24 or 25 years old, but he has done absolutely zero at the big league. Tells me he's going to be an everyday outfielder, an all-star outfielder. Nothing since he's been here.
Problem with Carlson, there's no trade value there.
Not anymore.
O'Neal has had that dynamic MVP kind of season, even though it's been few and far between.
Right.
There's probably a little value there.
Right.